I want to start with the 1-year anniversary, and I want to get a sense of how your expectations of the role compare to the reality of the role.
Well, when you start in a new position like this one, you think you come in prepared, but the truth is that when you're announced, the moment you're announced as a Governor General, you become it right away. So you learn on the job, and that's very different from my previous job, where when I became an astronaut, I was an engineer. I was coding for speech recognition applications, and I became an astronaut and then ended up in Houston. We arrived there, and then we go through procedures. They tell us how to work this, and then we train for 2 years before we become a certified astronaut. And Governor General, you arrive and it starts right off the starting block with no instruction manual.
Well, that's the key. So that your previous life, there were manuals. It was about trial and error. It was test runs. Now there is no manual. So does the job change to fit you, or do you have to change to fit this job?
It's a work in progress with any job. There's always an adaptation and a transition. This job has responsibilities that are essential to the running of our democracy and that are not negotiable. So for this, I don't make policies. The government makes policies, so that's the way I do it. And there is another part of the job which is more the Governor General that puts this flavor onto it. And being the first Governor General with a background in science and in technology in particular, that's the little flavor I'm trying to put in.
There's so many areas for us to cover, but let's first start with the constitutional role and the challenge. If I can take you back to the month of June, and there are reports that on the marijuana legislation that you pushed back, that you delayed the signing of that legislation. What happened?
That we had a date to sign the legislation, a royal assent, and the last minute I was asked to move that date. We did, and we signed it. So I'm not so sure. We're very, very rigorous on this here at Rideau Hall to ensure that every single step of the constitutional role never delays the good functioning of the government. And that's what we've done. And I'm very proud of that because I don't do this alone. There's a lot of back and forth. Scheduling is complicated, but we don't miss a beat. And we don't miss a deadline.
I can imagine how brutal it is to try to arrange so many busy schedules. But the sources inside the government suggest there is an underlying tension, and that's what I want to understand, between you in your new role and the government.
We are learning with them how to do this, and at first, because I don't know, then I ask how it works. I would like to understand what I'm doing, and certainly a year later, I do know what this is about. And this is really important. One of the things that really surprised me when I came is how important this institution is for Canada, for the governance of Canada, and how also this institution can really bring interest and showcase people. So that's why when we did our strategic thinking with our group here in the past year, we came up with really 4 words that represent us, and it's honor, represent, showcase, and serve. The service is to the government.
So on the showcase word, I mean, I'm sure you've been reading all of the same things I've been reading. There seems to be headline after headline that we'll stick with the one concerning showcase, that your workload is less than your predecessors. What do you make of that?
It's not the reality. That's completely different from the reality. And I think because we were so busy preparing our new tool, this morning we finally put online our new website, and we are very proud of this. We've been working on this for months, the team, and we're a small team here at Rideau Hall. we're so proud of it because it really has the up-to-date information. We did not perhaps communicate as well, but we've been all over Canada, from coast to coast to coast. We have met thousands of Canadians, and it's the privilege of this job. Unbelievable.
What about those charities, though, that say they've been waiting for a year to get an answer from you, and they feel like they're in the dark as to whether the Governor General, who traditionally would be part of those, the patron of these charities, hasn't heard back?
We are in touch with our partners, and we have received a lot of requests, and we receive a lot of requests and invitations and messages. I so wish I could say yes to everything. It just is impossible, and we had so many requests that we decided to do it as well as we could, and we sat down and we said, how can we be as inclusive as possible, as pertinent and dynamic, and how can we partner with more organizations? We can't be everywhere. But what we can do, though, even if we say, for example, decline a request for a presence somewhere, we say we are open for business. Mm-hmm. And this is really important for us.
But what about the honors that bear the name of your office, like the Governor General's Award for History or Architecture, and you just recently have said you won't be at that event, the History Awards. There's a lot of people who just don't understand that, so help me understand.
We are working the schedule with the partners all the time. There are times when I'm not in the country because at the request of the government, I may have to travel. So we are always working with them. It's happened in the past with my predecessors that sometimes it just doesn't add up, but most of the time we try to make it work. And we will continue to do that in the years to come. We are open for business. Please send us your request.
So what do you say to the Boy Scouts Association and St. John's Ambulance? And these are the organizations that say, hey, why didn't we have the honor of the Governor General this year?
Because we are working on it now.
So I want to just dig a little deeper on that. So you're looking at whether the organizations fit your ideology, or give me some understanding as to how the review that's underway.
We have completed the review. We're about to put it out, and we looked at the criteria parameters. We looked at the way other Governor Generals had done this. I know that Madame Clarkson went from 750 organizations to 250. So this has been done before. I just regret it took so long, and we're there. We're there, and we just have a few more partners to touch base with before we can release completely to the public.
And I think that, because I did look at the website today, and I actually don't see the breakdown of that. So I think people are still going to be waiting to learn.
It will be there before the first year, which is next week.
Next week. Now, this is my first time having the honor to interview you as Governor General. So I want you to take me back to the moment you got that call from, I'm assuming, the Prime Minister. How did that work a year ago?
I did get a call from the Office of the Prime Minister to go and meet him. And I was certain it was for something else.
Had you reached out to the government, or were you looking for a role in government?
Not at all. Not at all. I was running a small business at the time, and I was very pleased. I'm also the mom of a teenager, so I didn't expect this at all. So when I had a request to meet the Prime Minister, I was certain it was about the announcement of the new astronauts. There were 2 new astronauts that were, and so I just went with my kid on my Jeep, and we were floored, the 2 of us.
Immediate reaction, you were floored. Did it take you time to decide yes or no? Did you seek counsel from anybody to see, was this something you wanted to do? Or is it the kind of thing you can't say no to? I don't understand, you know?
It is the kind of thing you can't say no to. So I asked a number of questions, and And I did talk to a number of people, but I didn't wait very long, less than 24 hours. I think it is very important. And I truly believe that if your country calls, there's only one answer possible.
And yet, what is your reaction to the perception and the headlines that seem relentless right now? You know, the Governor General is looking for an out. The Governor General is unhappy in her role. The Governor General, prisoner in a gilded cage. What do you make of this perception?
The perception we have to address. People, and I welcome comments. I think criticism can be very constructive and can help further. I mean, there's no perfection anywhere. There's no perfect picture. I don't pretend to be perfect. I started this job and I learned, and I had missteps, and those missteps I corrected. And I will continue to do that because they will come again. It's human nature. So it is important for me to just move ahead and to look forward to do that. I'm so motivated. I really feel that after this first year where we've crisscrossed Canada, where we've planned, where we thought about where we want to go, now the train was in the station. And now I feel like the train is about to leave. We have all the teams on board, we have the ideas, we have the motivation, and I'm very blessed to be supported by an amazing team. So I would say we're about to take off, if I can use a pun.
But still, even today, I have to be honest, on my drive here, I said to the cab driver, I'm coming to interview the Governor General, and his first comment was, I hear she's leaving.
I so look forward to continue in the next few years, and that's why I don't know if the cab driver saw, but we released our 1-year video. We wanted to release it on the day of the exact 1 year, on the 2nd of October, but because of the circumstance, we released it a little early, and that tells our story. And we're going to be endeavoring to tell it better.
But you're a tough woman. What is your message to those there trying to tear you down, if you will, or the information out there that suggests there's a frustration or a sort of a locking of heads between the new Governor General and the government?
I cannot explain that. What I can explain is who we are as a team. I'm a team player. You can't go in my previous job. You can't go to space if you are not part of the crew. And the crew is just the tip of the iceberg. We have thousands of people on the ground, and they basically plan, direct, and make us execute a mission. There's similarities with that. To me, I have to go forward and learn from mistakes, but also we do so many good deeds here within the Office of the Governor General. We are representing Canada, and we're so proud of it, and I hope that I continue to do that, and that people will be proud of what we do.
Do you think that's been overshadowed?
We're going forward.
Do you think that's been overshadowed then, the good work? I know you were at Dunrobin after the terrible tornado just 1 week ago, actually today. When you're with Canadians, does that all fall to the wayside? Because I'm sure it must impact you, the news stories that keep emerging.
It does, but I look forward again. And we were in Newfoundland and Labrador just last week when some of the stories started to break out. And I was wondering if that would change how people interacted with me and with us. And it didn't at all. I had the opportunity to go everywhere in Canada when I was an astronaut, because Canadian astronauts, we're representative of our country in space, but we also do a lot of outreach within Canada. And I'm doing that again. And now when I go back to places where I've been, I received the exact same welcome I did before in my previous position. So I don't have this feeling.
What do you make of this perception then that's there? How do you fight that? You're a fighter.
With communication and inviting people to come here to do like we are doing now. I'm really grateful. We had an interview planned a long time ago, and now I think it's perfectly appropriate at the 1-year mark that we have this discussion, and I welcome more discussions.
And I think people welcome learning more about your vision. What do you want to bring to this role? If today is the start of a new, you've had a year now to sort of review, as you say, what will look different in year 2?
I'm very, very proud of the work that we've done in the first year. That I have to say, the team works so hard. It's a transition for them as well. They have to go from one Governor General to another Governor General to another Governor General. So that year has been a really, really cool year from my perspective. It's been exciting. It's been remarkable. The connection that has been established throughout Canada has been really good. And now we are continuing in that sense. Clearly, with the launch of our new website and the launch of a few new initiatives we've been working on. Today we actually did the first pilot of our new outreach initiative using technology. When I came into this job, I did not really understand what a Governor General did. So I'm like, maybe we can work on that one and share more with Canadians the importance of this institution and what it does exactly and why it's so important to Canadians.
What have you learned in that then, in that investigation for yourself? What have you learned about a job that is largely about appearances, and yet you are someone who really wants to sort of be in charge of those relationships, as you put it?
It's actually a job with connection. There's a lot of connection that you help do with people and you do with people. There's a constitutional world, there's a representation role, which I take very seriously. There's the role of Commander-in-Chief, which is very dear to my heart because I come from an operational world. And then there is the connection world, the honoring excellence, to listen to people, to be there for them. And that's why we have been so steadfast in doing this better.
And I think that when you first, right away when you were appointed, I wonder if it was a surprise to you that accepting this most elite position in Canada, also as the face of Canada, meant that your whole life was going to be under public scrutiny. Your personal life, was that a surprise to you?
It was a different way to approach it, because I've been in the public light for 25 years. And so people's interest in astronauts is quite important. So I had that before. It was a lot more in this position, and that's okay. It comes with public life, and it's a responsibility we take, and therefore we take also the fact that people will ask questions, and some might have comments to do. And
did it anger you?
Why would it? It's absolutely normal that they do. If, however, there is a line which is really important, and I think in Canada we are very sensitive to that, and I've felt it all along the last year. People were very sensitive there is a public part of life and there is a private part of life, and I don't have any issues with where that line is.
I think that's the key right there. I mean, Canadians, you know, they love you, obviously, your history, and now you're the Governor General, and I think they know the astronaut part, that euphoric moment that shaped you. There's another side, though, to every life to make us whole. And for you, just in my own reading, I look at what must have been the darkest moment, and I'm thinking of that road, driving down that road, and the rainy road, and someone running out in front of your car. How did that fatal accident change you, if you will?
Every event, whether they're positive or negative, shape us. Mm-hmm. And And sometimes there are events that happen that that we couldn't even fathom. 2011 was a very difficult year for me. That's probably even an understatement.
The marriage and the...
It was a very difficult year. If I can borrow Her Majesty the Queen's word, it was my annus horribilis. And that was part of it. But it's behind me. I've moved forward. I'm an optimist.
Does it make you stronger?
Oh, of course. Of course. Unfortunately. Difficult times make us stronger.
Does it bring empathy for you? I mean, you're out there meeting Canadians on every level. Your own personal experiences, do they help you in better relating to average Canadians?
Not only it helps, but it is important that I share those. And you may bring up the fact that one of the criticism was that we didn't go to Humboldt 6 months ago, and I'm going next month. And next month, I'm going to share something I've never shared in public before. And it has to do with the fact that I lost my best friend when Space Shuttle Columbia did not come home. I will share that with them. And I think it's very important that we open up this little part and share personal experiences.
And it's interesting because you've always, throughout your life, been able to present that strong astronaut, which you are. Is it hard to now have limits on your personal privacy?
The limits come with the function, and so that I understand, but otherwise, it is still things that happens in my life. And in French, there's an expression that says, les personnes heureuses sont souvent sans histoire. People are happy are without story. I'm very blessed. I'm very well surrounded.
And the loss.
And I have a great son, I have to say that.
How is he adjusting to life in the fishbowl?
He is so cool.
Do you learn from him?
Oh, big time, big time. And he's 15, so of course he knows everything, right? So it's he's great.
What about moving into Rideau Hall? There's a lot of people who say, hey, the renovation is largely finished. Why not move in?
Well, I am in Rideau Hall. I am here every day. My office is here. This is where we work. I'm currently right there on the premise. We have to understand how we're going to conduct a number of things. And right now, with all the partners, we're going to figure out that plan. And
do you want to live in this historic?
It's going to happen. For sure, I'm going to come here. But before that, we're going to do the right things. We're going to do the renovations. We're going to refurbish the ballroom, the most important room in this residence. I call it Canada's residence, where the Governor General is, and right now I'm right here. For me, it's normal. I sort of live here.
One of the things the security is saying that I've read about, they want you to live in here because it's fully secured, and there is some reporting that suggests the RCMP is having a great challenge tracking you. You're a woman who wants to go out and run when you want to go out and run. So give me some understanding into the challenge, the frustration, whatever you tell me the word, of being, having security around you all the time.
That too comes with a job. And I'm certain that in your career you've had a chance to work or do interviews with the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. They're a very, very professional group, and I'm very blessed to have a remarkable group that do close protection. I can assure you they know there's technology. They know where I am.
They know you've got GPS on you at every moment.
Well, this morning I went running, and they decide and they know better. If there is an issue, they will come to me, and we will adjust immediately. They tell what the framework is, and we work within that. Clearly, the close protection agents are with me all the time. They are in my private life. So the relationship is absolutely paramount here. Otherwise, it would be really difficult.
And so, again, I want to ask, going forward, what can Canadians see as your vision? I looked for it on the website, and I want to understand better what you want to bring to this role.
Well, being an engineer and a bit of a geek, I must say, I like technology. We're bringing a bit of that here. So we're using technological tools to reach out. I'm very interested in continuing what I did before as an astronaut, is to perhaps inspire young people to go and dare to dream, to find what it is about them that they really like and that they would like and who they want to become, to tell them they can be all they want to be because they're born in a country that is open and tolerant, where we believe in the equality of chances, that there's nothing they cannot do. When a young person comes and says, well, I'd like to become an astronaut, can I? And I say, there's no reason why you cannot. And for this, that's why we're so excited. We're so excited that the team, with this new initiative that we just did a pilot today, which is we reach out to schools with a teleconference means, and they can come and ask questions to the Governor General. The only question we ask, that they ask within that 15, 20 minutes, is what does a Governor General do? And how does it fit in the way we are structured as a country? And the rest, it's open. The kids can ask any question they want. And we think that this might be something that other people might like to take, so that you can reach out in places where physically you can't always go, because we can't be everywhere.
Did you ever imagine you'd be Governor General of Canada, a girl growing up in Montreal?
No, I wanted to be an astronaut when I was a
well,
girl.
you got that.
Which I tell the story because it's actually a bit funny. I'm 9, 10, and I'm watching the Apollo astronauts go to the moon. We're sitting on the floor of a school, and they have this, tripod TVs, huge TVs, and I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, me, I would like to do that. But it didn't dawn on me then that they were American, I was Canadian. They were men, I was a girl. They were test pilot, military folks. I'm 9 years old. Nobody in my family has been in an airplane, and they speak English. I didn't speak English when I was a kid until later. So it's amazing, that spark, you never know where it's going to light.
That took discipline, enormous discipline, to achieve the things you've achieved. This job is also about discipline. Describe the difference, though, in the discipline required to fulfill this all-important role as Governor General.
I would say it's very similar. And just like in my other job, using a NASA term, failure is not an option. Failure is not an option here. It is important.
So you're not going anywhere. To those headlines that say, Payette looking for a way out.
Oh, God, no. I'm so motivated about continuing the next year and making this mandate something that everybody will be proud of.
Are you worried that there's a them trying to tear down the us that you're trying to present?
I will take every constructive criticism, make it my own, learn from my mistake, and go forward.
What's the lesson learned from year one?
Communicate better. And the team behind me is doing just that. So that's why I would encourage folks to follow us. Follow us. We're on the social media. We just launched a new website. We did a 1-year video, and write to us. Write to us, communicate with us. We answer to everybody. We're open for business.
Is there anything, sort of final thoughts looking forward, vision that you'd like to share?
I think that we are blessed to live here in Canada. We are in a position to make a difference. And to do that, we have to work, because nothing comes without effort. We are in a position as a country, as citizens of the world, to bring this message of openness, of tolerance, of inclusivity of equality of chances, and of using our mind and our critical thinking, based our decision making using facts and evidence to support it, and our better judgment, best judgment as much as possible to go forward. And that to me is who we are. And
are you worried about the tone of the world right now? Based on what you're saying, there's a definite tone, certainly even coming from the highest office in America, that seems to be counterproductive to the message you're putting forward.
What reassures me is the fact that right now, today, orbiting the planet is an international space station. On board, there are Russians, Americans, there were Canadians. There's one going there in December, David Saint-Jacques. There are people from Japan and people from Europe. And we don't hear much about the International Space Station in the front page, but for almost 18 years now, it's been orbiting with people whose government on the ground don't always see necessarily eye to eye. And the reason we don't hear about it much, I think, is perhaps because we get along up there. We have no choice. There's no big drama. People communicate every day, 365 days a year. And that, to me, is very reassuring. We, the human beings, if we really want to, if we really push, we can get together, put our brains together, our resources together, and move along. It's the first time in the history of mankind that so many nations have put so much effort into building a laboratory in one of the harshest environment, space, to further and advance our common knowledge and bring this back right here on Earth where it counts. And that is what reassures me. We can do it.
Okay, I'd like to thank you very much for your time today. Great to talk to you.